the lifeline of the Apatani plateau, and most women work in the fields all day. I walked to Reru village to meet up with Ekha's wife, Diyu Mampa, to accompany her to the fields. The Apatanis are a land-owning community and they practice wet rice cultivation. They breed fish along with paddy. Like many others, Ekha and his family own several acres of land, which they tend themselves with relatives and friends, or with other women from the village hired on daily wages. Meanwhile, in the village, Ekha collects his trapping gear and sets off for a hunt. Traditionally, Apatani men used to hunt for small animals to bring to the hearth. However, these days it has become more of a pastime. The cane shoulder bag is made at home, and so is the bamboo trap, which is used to catch maybe a squirrel or a wild rooster. The trapping is usually done in one's own bamboo grove, but it can also be done elsewhere in the forest. Land is primarily owned by the individual or family, and sometimes by the clan or village. The eldest son usually inherits all property, and women have no claim over family property, except for what they receive when they get married. Mampa and her friends are leveling her field. The paddy harvest was in August, and now in December, preparations are underway for the next crop to be planted in March. I noticed a complete lack of modern technology. Sheer manpower and indigenous methods work this land productively. The Apatani method, apart from being unique to the region, is also environment friendly. They only grow one crop of paddy a year, allowing for soil rejuvenation, and the fields are cleverly irrigated to collect rainwater, which is then distributed equally. Being secluded from the outside world for centuries, they have developed a totally self-sufficient and self-reliant economy. An economy which is comparable with that of any other modern community. And this has been achieved by utilizing their resources in a remarkable and ingenious manner. Meanwhile, at the hunt, the bamboo traps are being laid. Pieces of meat left on the trap will attract small animals like the squirrel, the jungle rat, or a wild rooster and capture them as they attempt to go for the food. The traps are carefully placed and checked repeatedly to ensure efficiency. Ekha will return for the catch a couple of days later. The Apatanis are intrinsically environment friendly. They plant 4 trees to replace one tree that they fell. They have a deep respect for nature. The women take a well-deserved break for rice beer called apung. Made from maize, millet and of course rice, the beer is not very potent but high on calories. These women are hardworking and natural earth mothers. They accept their place under the sun with a smile on their faces and a song on their lips. It's now time for the men to return to the village, but only after a brief halt for rice beer on the way. This is another example of the way the Apatanis use bamboo. In a matter of minutes, 2 bamboo glasses ready for use. It's lunchtime on the field. The Apatani staple diet is boiled rice, chili powder, eggs, bamboo chutney or curry, and of course gossip. I was invited to share the lunch and it turned out to be a treat. The lunch itself was basic but very filling. Meat or yo is an important part of the Apatani diet, but added on only for special occasions. They hardly eat any vegetables. Interestingly, oil is rarely used for cooking. The refreshing rice beer, hot or cold served with rock salt, is drunk all day. The Apatani people provide a living example of what sustainability is all about. They nurture and manage their varied habitats in subtle and efficient ways that have stood the test of millennia. After lunch, I returned to Reru village to attend a puja with Ligang and Ekha, and I was glad I did, as it gave me a special and rare insight into Apatani belief and faith. The Apatanis, like many other tribes in Arunachal Pradesh, believe in Doni Polo, the sun and the moon, a system of belief in nature and the natural world. Doni Polism has no written scriptures nor idol worship. There is no fixed place for prayer. The only symbol is a bamboo altar, which is also found outside most homes. The village priest or the Nibu performs the pujas, which are rituals to propitiate the spirits for the well-being of a particular family or community. The Nibu determines what puja is to be performed and which animal is to be sacrificed after examining the chicken liver. The Nibu acts as the intermediary between man and the spirit world, and it is to him that people turn when illnesses strike, bad weather ruins their crops, or there is any emergency. The Nibu's title is not inherited. He knows from an early age that he is the chosen one. He exhibits signs of interest in spiritual life and then learns rhythmic hymns called abangs, which are handed from generation to generation and are a ritual practice. To an outsider, these rituals might seem primitive, but then it's all a matter of belief, and the Apatanis have a deep faith in their rituals and traditions. A misty morning on the Apatani plateau. Somewhere in the nearby jungle, a village youth searches for a bow frontalis, locally known as a Mithun, which is the most important animal for the Apatanis. It is a customary rite for them to sacrifice a Mithun, especially for important events like marriages, certain pujas and deaths. At one time, Mithuns were the main currency for barter and a measure of wealth. Most Apatanis have several Mithuns that are left to graze in the hills. Identified by markings on the ear, the Mithun is only brought to the village for sacrifice during pujas. Back in the village, Ekha informed me of the death of one of his relatives, an old lady called Khoda Muryang. He and Mampa were going for the funeral and invited me to attend it. I was given a blanket to take with me as a gift. Ekha told me that it is customary to sacrifice a Mithun at the funeral. The meat would then be distributed to all who have come. While messengers are sent to all the villages to inform everyone about the incident, the body is kept in the house overnight. This allows enough time for relatives and friends from all over to gather. Women sing hymns in remembrance and praise. Well-wishers offer presents which will be buried along with the deceased. Alcohol, blankets, shawls, tobacco are common gifts to be enjoyed by them on their final journey and beyond. Rice beer is generously served and the atmosphere is one of celebration. Khoda Muryang's death was not being mourned, as she had lived a full life of 90 years. Neither she nor her family would now suffer any old age related problems. She was in a better place. There she would be reunited with all her ancestors and watch over her loved ones here as a benevolent spirit. This honest and pragmatic approach to life was very endearing to me, as were these people. After accepting a gift of murung meat, I set off with Ekha to mourn another death which had occurred in the Hija village, that of a Nibu, Taku Chatong. Once again, the atmosphere and the mood was that of celebration. All the relatives and friends had arrived, gifts presented, and the funeral procession would soon be underway. Finally, the funeral procession leaves the hut. The body is tied to a single piece of bamboo and carried to the grave. The late Nibu's belongings, a few bottles of rice beer, and all the presents received will be carried to the graveyard to be buried with him. All the Apatani clans do not have graveyards. The burial can take place anywhere in or around the village. The process of preparing the grave begins early in the morning and goes on till the afternoon. All along, whistles are blown as a mark of respect. First, a grave of appropriate size is dug. Another inner chamber inside the grave is prepared. This is where the mortal remains of Nibu Taku Chatong shall rest in peace. The body is placed in the inner chamber of the grave along with all the belongings. The chamber is then closed using bamboo to ensure that wild animals are unable to access the body. Finally, the Nibu's straw mat is placed before covering the grave. A bamboo structure is erected to mark the grave and to also show that the grave is that of a Nibu. In the end, the grave is decorated using sliced bamboo. After paying our final respects to Taku Chatong, we returned to Reru village. Unlike Heja village, Reru has a village graveyard. And by now Khoda Muryang, the old lady, had already been buried here. Her grave was marked by a similar bamboo design. Ligang told me more about the Apatani way of looking at death. Tell me, do people over here really have a fear of death?
That is exactly not. Because we have been so close related with this nature, and because we feel that this, and we believe in nature, so we feel that it's a cycle. So birth and death is always there. So no one feels that no, I shouldn't die. That feeling is not there. The funeral which you have attended in 2 villages, there you have seen that the mourning element is not much there. It's all because that we believe that those 2 persons, they were very much elderly persons, and they have lived their life very happily. Okay. And so the mourning, we don't take it. But just as a traditional norms, we do some slight mourning is there, but it's not as much as what we mourn to a very young persons when someone very young person they die. It's all because those young persons, we believe that they have not attended their full life, and so the mourning is much more there. We believe that those people, they go to Talu. That is Talu. That is somewhere up in above the earth. So we feel that, and the person who dies very elderly, that means living his full life. We believe that he goes to Nelly. That's a place where we believe after that, when one has lived his full life.
What is that on top of this structure?
That is the skull of a Mithun.
The air is cool and crisp, untainted by pollution and clarified by this region's lush semi-coniferous forests.